Hello, hello. Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. My name is Stephanie.
My name is Travis.
And this is the podcast where we prove that the honeymoon stage never, ever has to end.
Never.
Unless Travis messes up the video and we got to start over.
Oh, come on. You going to mention it?
I knew you didn't want me to, but...
We got about 10 minutes in, and I'm just like, I don't know if you guys... Well, if you watch on YouTube, you'll notice I kind of glance off. Like, that's me looking at our monitor to make sure everything's good. I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, fuck. It's not recording.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful it was only 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
And back to the show.
But if y'all forgot, we have a newborn.
Yeah.
So those 10 minutes lost are precious.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still like you, baby. Weekly recap. Anything new for you?
No, I mean, not really. Just same. Oh, I didn't mention that I am on paternal leave now.
Okay.
My company offers 4 weeks. It just recently went up. It was at 2 weeks, and then like while you were pregnant, it went up to 4 weeks. So good job on the timing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm grateful that I did it now because I couldn't imagine doing this at any other time because this first month is pretty crucial.
Yeah, we barely sleep.
Yeah. Steph definitely gets up more than me because she's breastfeeding, but I don't feel like I'm ever sleeping.
Yeah.
Because you could just say my name and I'm just like, what do you need? What do you need?
Yeah. Like even when I do wake you up and have you like help me, I'm so alert and paying attention. I'm like turning around, checking. Like if you're changing his diaper and he's crying too much, I'm like looking, giving you tips on how to soothe him. So I'm like not really.
Yeah, River does not like getting his diaper changed. So it's always what do you call it, a tantrum?
You know what it is? I feel like the changing pad is so like stiff and hard and cold. He just kind of is a little overwhelmed. And then I make a big production out of it to soothe him. Like I'm talking to him the whole time and
I'm just me.
You're just, yeah. Imagine Travis changing a diaper of a crying baby. He's just like going through it.
No, I soothe him. I'm like, all right, come on, Pop. We're almost there. Putting ointment on his butt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
a learning process.
Definitely a learning process, and it's a lot of sleepless nights.
Mm-hmm.
Last night was sleepless for me. You slept, I don't know, you didn't, I guess we kind of got the equal amount, but once I was up, I usually like to try and take a nap after, but I've just been pushing through.
Usually what happens is I get up most of the night, but then in the morning, you'll take him for like 3 hours while I take a nap. Because it's like, I barely slept the whole night. Yeah,
this is our permanent faces.
Yes. Stop telling Travis he looks tired, all right?
Yeah, everyone, or every time I FaceTime a family member, they're just like, who had the baby?
You look good, baby.
This is my permanent face.
I love those bags.
They need to be money bags.
It's all right. We'll get there. That's part of our New Year's resolution, which we're going to talk about. But for me, this week has been a little extra challenging because Eli has been home from school. If you haven't been living under a rock, you know, COVID has made a big surge with the new variant. And just having a newborn at home without any shots, we just felt it made the most sense to keep him home. And it wasn't a decision we made lightly. As an educator, you know, I take his education and his attendance really seriously, especially as a mother of color. I'm always worried that people are going to judge me like, oh, he has poor attendance. And, you know, so I'm always being extra.
I'm sorry, Eli. You cannot get into this college because
you missed a week of second grade
during COVID.
So I had to remind myself, like, these are unprecedented times. Just because he's home doesn't mean he's not learning, and he'll be okay.
And if we're being honest, he's probably learning even more here with you as a guide or as a...
I don't want to take away the credit from his school and his teachers.
Listen, this is New York City. There's 30 kids to a classroom, and it's no knock against the teacher. She's a great teacher. He actually has a really good teacher this year.
Yeah.
But there's 30 kids.
And it's COVID.
30 kids, COVID.
I will say, though, at home, we've been covering his reading, writing, math, but he also has like special classes. He has swim, he has science, he has art, and they didn't post anything for students who were out. So I feel like he missed all of that this week. And the social aspect, having friends and stuff. I feel like I can't replicate that during COVID. You know, I know there are students who are homeschooled and their parents find ways to fill those social voids.
Like clubs, right?
Yeah, but during COVID, the whole point is you're not supposed to be around people.
Yeah.
So, but again, not a me problem. Like, this is the state of the fucking world.
Yeah, it's insane. Especially with every day we're getting new information, new rules.
Yes.
What's the latest where if you have no symptoms after 5 days, you can basically go to work?
So I'm not sure if this is like for everyone, but I know with the Department of Education, which is where Eli goes to school and where I was formerly employed, all teachers had to be vaccinated or they had to lose their job or go on unpaid leave for the year. Now, if you test positive for COVID, you can return to work on day 6 with mild symptoms. So you could be coughing, but as long as there's no phlegm when you cough, you could come in. It's just a mess. I can't imagine how teachers who lost their jobs are feeling right now.
So I was going to say something on the positive side of that, but I definitely agree with what you were about to say. If that's the case, if we're moving in that direction, it almost feels like, COVID is apparently it's going to be here to stay. Isn't it almost better that it's going to be treated like the common cold? Because how many times have you gone to work with a cold?
Well, yeah, if it's going to be like the common cold and not killing people the way it was back in those first few months when we were all quarantined and like nearly 800 people were dying a day in New York City alone, So yes, it kind of feels good. Like, well, this is becoming more of a common cold and, things are okay. But the flip side is I remember saying how this whole pandemic is pushing us to take care of ourselves a little more. Because why did I go to work with a cold all the time? Why did I mask my flu symptoms in the past? And now all of a sudden I can just go to work. Uh-oh, that's my computer. Now all of a sudden I don't have to go to work because it might be COVID. And it's like, good, I get to rest now when I'm sick instead of masking my symptoms. But now it's like, all right, let's get back into the grind. And I guess America needed a more deadly virus to slow us down.
A lot of people are hurting out there, socially, financially. I know, we have a new mayor here in New York, and, he wants everything to open back up. I think his wording was terrible. I don't remember it, verbatim, but
basically he says something about low-skilled workers need to return to work.
What's your issue with that statement?
It just like what defines a low-skilled worker, and I think what he meant were like restaurant workers, maintenance workers, MTA, transportation, Uber, delivery drivers, and I feel like it's unfair to call them low-skilled. Like my hardest job, I always say, was waitressing. In terms of you have to deal with people who treat you like shit. You have to memorize millions of things at once and it's changing constantly. You're dealing with money. You're dealing with POS systems. So like technology aspect of it.
I hated my time as a waiter.
I honestly didn't hate it. I enjoyed my time as a waitress. The only thing I hated was the schedule. As a mother, as a wife, I felt like I made my good money waitressing on nights and weekends. And it just didn't make sense for the lifestyle I wanted to have with my family. But it wasn't that I hated the job. It was easy money. I socialized with my coworkers. You had good days, you had bad days, whatever. But my problem with that was, whoa, don't call people low-skilled workers.
Yeah, like I said, his messaging was wrong, or the way he said it was wrong, but I get the message.
So what do you think his message was?
Was that there's people who are out here struggling, and you need to get a check. So, we kind of have to find a sense of normalcy. And,
But at what risk?
That's the thing. Nobody knows what the risk is. The CDC is changing they're changing the post or the goalpost every day. Who knows? By the time this episode comes out, it'll be like, oh, just 30 minutes. If you just stay inside for 30 minutes, then you're good to go.
There was something that was like, the CDC's going to say, just drink some ginger ale. You'll be all right.
Not for real. Ginger ale be.
It's the cure with some Vicks, Vivaporu. Yeah, it's a mess. It's political. It's social. It's
financial.
It's capitalist. There's a whole bunch of things involved, and we don't have the answers. We don't expect to have the answers, but I do sympathize and empathize with people who have been impacted by vaccine mandates, and now things are suddenly shifting. I feel for people who lost their jobs. I feel for people who feel forced to work when they're still sick. Like, in all of this, we just have to be more empathetic, Do
you harbor any resentment because, this vaccine mandate kind of forced your hand?
I don't, because thankfully, my life, it rolls with the punches. When something seems like it's not going my way, it works out for the better. And I feel like this was no different. I might not notice it right away. I might be sad. I might be upset. I might be like, why is this happening to me? But then it's always what was meant to be, what was meant to happen, So I don't hold any resentment. I feel like I'm supposed to be where I'm at, having River and being home with River. And I'm already counting down. 1 week of your paternity is over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, in 3 weeks, I'm going to be home all day without Travis. And Travis is going to have barely any sleep when he's going to work if River hasn't started to sleep more at night. Imagine if on top of that, I'm like, okay, and I have 5 more weeks left of my maternity leave. I'm so happy I'm not dealing with that. The financial aspect of it, of course, sometimes you're like, oh, I missed that paycheck. But this is a perfect way to jump into our weekly meetings. But sometimes it isn't the need for more money, as the need to be happy with less. So yeah, we were going to talk about resolutions after this, right?
Yeah.
So one of my resolutions is to be happy with less, right? To not feel that need to need so many clothes, for more space, right? We've been decluttering like crazy, and I feel overwhelmed because since we have so much stuff, any little mess we make looks like a tornado. And a lot of the stuff we jam pack in here, we don't use often, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to my friend and I was like, oh, I wore this outfit. I loved it. I wore these shoes twice in the past year. Does it need to take up all this space in my house? Right? So tying that into do I have any resentment about, not having my job right now? No, because I don't need that extra money. What I need is to budget better and be happier with less, because what I got with the job, that income, is not as valuable as what I have now. The time with my family, with Eli, with River, with you, the ability to curate a better life for us just because I have more time, I think is priceless.
Yeah.
So I don't have any resentment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, anyone who feels like they know you, they would say fashion is pretty important to you. Mm-hmm. So where do you find the balance of, pretty much cutting it off and expressing yourself?
I feel like quality over quantity.
Okay.
Right? I always said like, oh, one day I'll have a designer bag. One day I'll have like that one staple, either a Chanel bag or a Louis bag or whatever. I've never had anything designer, right? But when I think about how much I spend on quantity of stuff, yeah, more affordable, right? But instead of buying 20 bags that are under $100, I could have my one designer bag. So I feel like when it comes to my love for fashion, I'm trying to shift my perspective from quantity to quality, right? Pieces that are more timeless that I can wear for many years. I was gonna say that I could pass on to my children, but I mean, I guess we gotta have a girl.
You never know how our boys will express themselves.
That's true. Fashion is, whatever. But that's the biggest thing. And stopping myself from impulse buying. Trying to curate my own style versus keeping up with trends. You know what I'm saying? So that those ideas are helping me like still enjoy my fashion and my way of expressing myself while also meeting myself halfway with this new resolution of like wanting less.
Yeah, it's tough. If you feel like you know me on social media, you would see how, sneakers are a pretty important part of my, or are an important part of my life. And honestly, it's something that came later on in life. I don't have the story of most sneakerheads of when I was 5, my father got me these Jordans. I got the Jordans because they were affordable.
Yeah.
That's why my father would get them to me, but I didn't have any like bond with them. And then growing up, it was nothing like my mom would get me some Air Force Ones and I beat those up. Then I just get another pair.
That Brooklyn shit, like New Yorkers, like our parents.
During that time, I'm watching my older brother who was very much into that. He had mountains and mountains of sneakers. And, as I got older, I'm like, damn, he looks good. I want that, but financially I couldn't have it. And then once I was in a financial place or a place to have it, then I'm like, I'm playing catch up, overcompensating. And I feel that way now, especially, yesterday we cleaned up and in terms of being a real sneakerhead, my collection is very small.
Yeah.
Very small.
But I feel like over the past few years, we've been kind of trying our best to be more conscious about our purchases.
And I'm like in the same boat as you, whereas I want to move to a place where it's quality over quantity. Like there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something that catches my eye. Is it necessarily timeless? Not. Probably not. It's just, for the moment. And I'm sure any sneakerhead will tell you how many regretful purchases they have. There's sneakers I have that never see the light of day. I'm trying to do better and get rid of them. But more importantly, just taking a pause because it's just not beneficial to where we want our life to go. No matter how the cost, it's just that money could be put elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's hard. Don't trust me, it's hard. Especially when a lot of my close friends are in that scene and I just see them, oh, I got that, I got this, I got that. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Must be nice. But yeah, I'm on this journey with you, and I know in the long run it's gonna benefit us more than anything.
Yeah. And I know that feeling of like FOMO almost, like you're missing out on this new shoe or this new trend but what sucks more? Like missing out on life experiences because we aren't financially prepared for them. Being able to put away money for Eli's college fund for now Rivers. Now we have 2 college funds we have to save for, being able to pay for extracurriculars. The past 2 years with COVID, there's like been nothing for Eli, but I feel like I'm value that more. And it bothers me more when we miss out on those things.
Yeah, there should be no, speaking honestly, there should be no reason like you can't afford to do an activity, but you have a sneaker in your closet worth $1,000+ And this isn't an attack on anyone, but for me as a family man, that's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, however, and it also, there's a lot of things that go into it. My age, my family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
That's sounds like a young guy's thing,
Yeah.
So I'm shaking it, and I hope in, I don't know, a year's time I have like a better outlook or better outcome
Mm-hmm.
from all this.
Definitely. All right. So topic number 1, let's just jump into it. Our weekly meetings. So if you're watching on YouTube, we have this cute little red journal here. And it's so funny. I'm going to just tell the story really quick on how I got this journal, just in case whoever got it for me is watching. I don't remember exactly who got it for me.
Was it someone from your school? Or?
It was, I believe it was a teacher, either from my high school, or my mom worked in my elementary school at the time. And it could have been a teacher from there that gifted it to me. So when I was 16, I got an opportunity to go to South Korea for 3 weeks. And I had to fundraise to cover part of the cost. It was through the YMCA. So in fundraising for it, someone donated some money for my trip, but they also gifted me this journal. And I remember it came with a sweet card, and they basically said something like, over the years, you're going to forget what happened. Like, you'll lose the memories of this trip. But if you write it all down, you could always revisit it. And I didn't write it all down. Of course, now I'm 31 years old and I regret it. I wish I did. But the journal was so beautiful and the intention was so beautiful that I always kept it. So I think now, us writing down notes of our weekly meetings, maybe in a year or in 5 years or in 10 years, if we're having a rough patch, we could look at this and be like, wow.
Yeah.
Look at where we were in 2022.
So we've had 2 weekly meetings so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I understood how important these were going to be until our last one. Because, when you're in a relationship, it's easy to let everything we write down in here build up. And then the smallest thing just makes it open. It opens up the floodgates. So imagine like everything we've written in here, everything we've addressed. Now imagine you're holding that in, and then it's just like, I don't know, there's a sock on the floor, and
the slightest inconvenience,
and you lose your shit, and now you're just letting all this stuff out. It's not healthy.
So what do you think this helps us do then?
Address it on the spot, or not necessarily on the spot,
but the next meeting at
least because we're doing them weekly.
Yeah,
that's you could fake the funk for a week if there's something,
or you might let it slide.
Yeah, because one thing, I'm not gonna go too deep into everything we've written in here, but one of the things we've written down is addressing things as they come up, not holding them in.
Mm-hmm. But as life happens, we aren't addressing everything on the spot.
Yeah.
But since we're able to meet the next week and intentionally discuss our feelings and what's happening, we get to address it what feels like pretty quickly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Mm-hmm. It's tough, like any, it's tough holding a mirror to yourself, and basically owning your shit.
Yeah.
And but I'm grateful that we have these conversations. I feel, I don't know how, but I feel even closer to you.
Yeah.
And I just feel like long term, this is going to be one of the best things we've ever decided to do.
Oh, and it's only 2 weeks in.
I definitely would recommend this for any relationship.
It's really good for accountability because, especially since we take notes, the next week we look at what we wrote the week before and it's like, are we staying true to what we wrote down in here? Are we holding ourselves accountable? Or was last week a waste of time? Did we just let a whole week go by and we made no changes and no adjustments?
Like, even while you're saying that, I thought of 2 things I'm supposed to do before our next meeting. So it's like, get on it, Travis, get on it. And
it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. And, it's not, I know there's going to be times where things we wrote written down have carried over to the next week.
And that's fine.
Okay, but not everything should carry over to the next week, because then what's the point? But you should be knocking some things, like if there's like some...
Or making adjustments week to week. Like, all right, we're overachieving with this goal. Like, so how do we break it down?
We kind of came up with this on the fly. We didn't like Google this or anything, but the way we have it structured, the first page is just kind of like a note to ourselves. Just basically, do you mind if I share this? It's not...
I don't remember. Go ahead.
Yeah, this one.
I don't remember what's on it. So
it says, Travis and Stephanie Whiteman. In this journal, we will write down our dreams and make our plans to make them a reality. We will practice gratitude, both spoken and written. We will be intentional about checking in with each other's feelings, share ideas, and ask for support. Identify our highs and lows. Develop ways to be the best partners and collaborators to improve our quality of life for ourselves and our children. We will challenge each other with grace and love, always leading. Let's make forever the best years of our lives.
Oh my God. Who are we? That was so cute.
And we both signed it and dated it.
Oh my God. That's such a teacher thing. The teachers do this thing like classroom contracts, and then we make all the kids sign it.
But yeah, that I think that sums it up. That's the goal. And
so yeah, looking back on this in a few years is gonna be beautiful, because this was just 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh my God, that was so sweet.
So the way we have it structured is we start our meetings with what we're grateful for, gratitude. So we'll go back and forth. It usually ends up being about 4 things, like 2 each, and then we'll talk about the week's highs and the week's lows.
Yeah, so we start with the good stuff, gratitude, highs, then we go into our lows.
And then after that, we get into our goals. And then our goals are broken into, how many categories is this? Like 7, 8. So we have family, we have relationship, finances, our home, health, the podcast, Stephanie's business, and then our professional goals.
So yeah, that's 8 different categories. So even if each one of those had one goal, most likely we're not going to reach 8 complete goals or tasks in a week, but it still gets us thinking about it, or sometimes some of them overlap, right? So our health goals kind of revolve around eating better, so it kind of falls into our kids and our home.
Working out. You see your boy on the Peloton.
Yeah.
3 days in a row.
So I haven't started working out yet because, I just had a baby. But I try to do 15 push-ups with you today.
You want to know what's motivating me?
What?
Is that when you are healed, I know you're going to go ham.
You're like, let me get...
I need a head start. And I just know once she's good, we're going to have the pole back up here.
I can't wait to get my pole back.
And she'll be swinging Peloton, breastfeeding while doing push-ups.
Strapping me. Oh my God. I just envisioned that.
So that's my motivator. Obviously I want, like, if it feels good. If, as most people know, the hardest part with exercising is that mental battle. Like when I just mentally get over that hurdle of like, let me click in and get on this Peloton. Once my legs are moving, I'm in. There's no way I'm going to hop off unless I'm injured.
It's about getting on. The hardest part.
Or even, today was fun. My arms are so sore I could barely do one push-up, but you were there with me, and I got on my knees to even finish up my push-ups. But if I had been by myself and I didn't have you saying, at least just do the ones on your knees, I'd have been like, fuck this. My arms feel like spaghetti right now. Boiled spaghetti. So, yeah, I'm grateful that I have you, as my partner. You hold me accountable. And yeah, let's keep on rocking.
Accountability has been a big one for us and a big struggle for us when it comes to some of our goals. So I'm going to share one thing that...
I swear I know what she's about to say, but go. Does it have to do with food?
Yes, it has to do with food. So one of our goals that kind of overlaps with a lot of our goals is not eating out, not ordering out, like not ordering Uber Eats, right? So for many reasons, around us in our community, there aren't many healthy options, right? When we're ordering Uber Eats, we're ordering Popeyes, McDonald's. What else do we order? Spanish food, Dallas BBQs. Spanish food is like the most healthy food that we can order. So it's not good for us health-wise, right? Especially I'm breastfeeding. I need to feed myself a better, healthier diet forever. We're getting older. We want to be healthier in the long term for our children. It's so expensive when you calculate the tip, the service fee. The cheapest meal, we still spend minimum $30, $35.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that a couple of times a week, and honestly, we were doing it a couple of times a day, a couple of times a week at one point. So financially, it's terrible.
And even more embarrassing.
What?
Is with food in the fridge.
Yes, with food in the fridge, groceries here, we just get caught up and then it's easier to just order.
Yeah, not planning.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we discussed is like, when we wake up and we're in the kitchen making coffee, we need to have a quick conversation about what our meals look like for the day.
Yeah. So realistically, we're not going to plan for the week.
It's not happening.
It's just not who we are. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, coffee's being made. What do you want for breakfast? All right, what are we going to do for lunch? What are we going to do for dinner? And that way we plan in that moment.
Yes.
That's more realistic for
us.
And like, there's no rules to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we adjusted and we're going to try it out.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the accountability,
yeah,
a couple of times we've been in the house and Travis is like, you want me to order something? And I didn't say anything. But then when we had our meeting, I was like, a couple of times you would like enticed me with asking if I wanted you to order. And that's not going to do us any good. We're not going to reach our goals that way.
Yeah. So I'm chilling.
All right. So we spoke about accountability. The other big thing for me, remember you said expressing ourselves or talking about things in the moment. How did you word that? I forgot.
Just not harboring or not holding on to those feelings and just letting it out.
Okay. So one of my issues with you is you seem to never have any problems. Like,
I guess we're just saying what's in the book.
Yeah.
But next to not harboring or not holding on to these feelings was Travis, speak up.
Yes. You tend to kind of just everything's go with the flow. Nothing ever bothers you. At least you don't say it. And although I feel like we balance each other, right? At times I have felt like you might be secretly holding all these grudges against me because you just never ever have anything negative to say. And I'm like, I know I'm perfect, but not that perfect. No, I'm kidding. But so I feel like this is really pushing Travis to express himself and tell me if I've annoyed him or something.
Yeah. So I don't, if you know me, I don't like conflict.
Yeah.
Not any type of conflict. I don't know, it just makes my heart hurt, literally, physically. Yeah. So to me, it's just like, is it that serious? Is it that serious to start something now?
But it doesn't mean we're starting something, because that's with the assumption that in you expressing your feelings, it's going to cause a fight. I feel like in you expressing your feelings, it's going to clarify something and it's going to make us better. And it's going to make me a better partner to you. Because I might not notice how something's impacting you because your face is like stone all the time.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to just, say a bunch of things where it's just like, I want things with substance. It's not like, oh, you didn't give me gawk last night.
Oh my God. Clearly someone is.
You didn't give me gawk.
All right. So I guess we might be able to touch on the meetings at a later time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an open book.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as phony.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some things we should probably hold close to the chest just for sanity reasons.
Or also maybe discuss them when we've had more times to sit with it.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll be like, well,
on week 1, this
motherfucker. And now it's week 13 and he's still doing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. It's a little spicy in there. Our first meeting, I feel like I cried the whole time.
Yeah. You said that. I don't know if this makes me terrible, but I don't remember you crying that much. I'm like, oh, she's always crying.
I was going to say, I am always crying, and especially like hormones, baby. I've been crying a lot maybe the past couple of months.
Okay. But it's not anything that, I guess I should notice. I was going to say it doesn't make me look at you in a negative
Something
light.
to talk about next meeting.
You don't notice my tears.
But yeah, I cried. But it was more so like happy tears, but like also feeling like, damn, you've had a lot of these goals and dreams for a few years and you've been fumbling the bag. You've been letting yourself down. That's
one of the things that I'm realizing is that these conversations aren't new. It's just now we're trying to
find the discipline.
We're trying to have structure, the accountability. Whereas before we addressed them, it's kind of like, like everyone knows they have shit, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone listening, everyone watching, you know what your shit is. But there's some of your shit that you choose to put to the back of your mind. And when it comes up, you like bring up a happy memory just to push it back there. And depending on the shit that you're covering up, that may be okay for you. But I think for us, it was just doing more harm than anything. We can't pretend like ordering Uber Eats 3 times a day wasn't eventually going to catch up to us. Mm-hmm. We can't pretend like, buying this and that and just swipey, that wasn't going to catch up to us. Because when it comes time for bills, now we're both looking at each other like, I thought you were on top of it. No, I thought you knew what was going on. How do you think that got into the house?
Yeah.
So conversations, holding each other accountable and not just, pretending like it's not happening. And
the same thing applies to our health goals, our parenting goals, our relationship goals. If we just kind of, we know these are the goals, but we have no structure, no discipline.
In 10 years, if I'm like overweight and it's like,
we bought a Peloton in 2021. What happened?
Yeah. Or you eat Popeyes every day and you sit on the couch. Mm-hmm. What the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of self-reflection. It's a lot of, you're my partner.
And that makes me think about how the internet, our Bible nowadays, there's like conflicting information and we need to find ourselves somewhere in the middle. And what I'm talking about is when it comes to self-improvement, right? So there's this one side of the internet that's like pushing you to grind 24/7, booked and busy, new year, new me, resolution. Then there's another side that's like self-care, relax, put it down. It's not that big a deal. You survived the pandemic. Don't do anything. La, 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 la. Manifest everything. Manifesting alone ain't gonna get you shit. You need to work. You need to have structure.
I do believe in having a positive outlook.
Absolutely.
I do think there's power in that.
Absolutely.
But with that also
if I lay my ass on the couch and manifest, guess what's gonna happen?
Nothing.
I'm going to have ass sores and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So we need to find a balance.
Yeah. It's everything in life is a balance. And we're figuring that out in real time. You all are here for this journey. And, part of having this podcast is having this community. And you all hold us accountable because, I would hate to, now we're letting you all in on our lives. And then it's like, 4 weeks from now, you're like, you guys haven't touched on the meetings. Oh yeah, we stopped that shit. Can you pass the barbecue sauce for my chicken dinners?
Yeah. And even if we do, like, if these meetings seem like they aren't beneficial, we're gonna be honest with you all about that and discuss it. But yeah, discipline, accountability, and working, not working to death, but doing what you need to do to meet yourself at your goal.
Or even exercising now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like just sharing that I'm working out on our stories, that's like a accountability because now people are going to be like, oh, haven't seen Travis post in a while. Motherfucker probably stopped.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna show y'all I could do this.
Add us on the Peloton. I'm going to give Travis more work. My at name is With the Works.
And
what's yours?
Trav You Nerds. It's our social media handles.
It's our social media handles, but yeah. Trav was like, oh, now I got to insert this in the video.
Whatever.
All right. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. So I know some of y'all are going to roll your eyes at this, but we have to discuss Tristan Thompson having a baby on Khloe Kardashian.
Wait.
Don't start bigging up your boy.
He's a yardie.
He is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
From Canada.
Well, yeah. So before I even go ahead, babe. What are your thoughts on this?
I think, he's I don't know the inner workings of their relationship, but his actions would tell me he's unhappy.
But he's not forced to be there.
True, but we also know things are never that simple.
I feel like y'all rich. Just be apart and be happy.
Yeah, that's another thing that comes into play. There has to be something to that because, he didn't grow up with money. He's obviously got money when he went into the NBA.
Okay.
So I don't know what it's like to have that type of status all of a sudden. Whereas someone like, with Khloe, Khloe Kardashian has been pretty wealthy all her life. The only thing that's probably new is the fame.
Yeah.
But she's been managing that for a while now. How long have the Kardashians been a thing?
Ooh.
Over 15 years, maybe?
A minute. Like Kendall and Kylie were babies. They were really young little girls.
Yeah. So they've been managing this for a long time. Yeah. But for him, it's new. And now it's also... So now you're a basketball player, an NBA player. And then now add on the Kardashian effect. Now you're dating a Kardashian. You're out of here. Everyone connected to that family, they're
become super famous.
Look at Pete Davidson. Like, I love Pete Davidson before he was dating Kim, but and he was loved. So now imagine the Kardashian effect. But back on Tristan. But I don't think that gives him any excuse. Yeah, it's still fucked up. It's still I kind of like what Joey Badass, the rapper, said about it, but there's a few parts I don't agree with.
All right. So before we get to Joey Badass's part, for me, the biggest thing is I feel terrible for like the way Jordan Woods was like made this villain, and
I totally forgot about her.
You forgot about her?
No, it's a good point, but I forgot about her.
So if you don't keep up with the Kardashians, Kylie's ex-best friend basically might have like kissed Tristan Thompson at a party or something like that. Something inappropriate, right?
And it became a big thing.
It became a big thing. She's basically not best friends with Kylie anymore. They're never together anymore. They used to live together. They posted together 24/7. And Khloe took Tristan back, forgave him, is with him. And he just repeatedly keeps making her look like an idiot. So I feel bad for Jordan because she's also so young. I feel like she might have been manipulated in the situation and she made a mistake and it was horrible. She should be held accountable for it. But it's just like, really? Over this guy? Yeah. Like I wish the sisterhood, the womanhood was more easily forgiven than him, because look what he has done with her forgiveness. It's like embarrassing.
So there's some people who say she deserves everything that's happening to her. Do you fall in
who?
Khloe?
Absolutely not. You know me, that's kind of like when we talk back about the Danny Lay thing, like, oh, that's what she gets. Like, no. I don't think no one deserves to be treated like that or be publicly humiliated. Should she have any type of accountability? I guess it depends who you ask, but it's kind of like that saying, like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You keep forgiving him and expecting different results. But again, as a woman, as a mother, these expectations of society to have your family in order together, like, who knows what's influencing her to forgive him and how manipulative he probably is in all of this to convince her that he deserves the forgiveness. Because even in his own post, he said, I care about you, or I have the utmost respect for you despite what you think. So now you're telling her she's crazy because her opinion of you is based on your actions. And now you're telling her, whatever you think, I respect you. Like, despite what you think, like, that's so manipulative. That's gaslighting 101.
I think there's a lot of factors. Not knowing them personally, obviously, but I think he's younger. I think he might be like 5 years younger. Than her. That, it might not, it's not that big a deal the older you get, but there's a maturity thing that goes there. And then also back to my earlier point, that new money, that new fame, just not knowing how to keep your dick in your pants.
And that's the other part. Fine. You don't know how to not cheat. You don't know how to use a condom? Like, are you serious? That's like what's crazy. Like, not only are you cheating, but you get someone pregnant. Like, what? I can't excuse that.
Yeah.
So I think you should talk about the Joey Badass thing because I feel like I want to make a point that's kind of related to that.
So Joey Badass.
He's a New York rapper from Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. He tweeted, Tristan Thompson's got to stop being a sorry ass nigga. Tell Chloe you're a fucking gallus and you need more than one woman. Straight up. What's so hard about being honest with our women, fellas? Fuck this Western bullshit. Relationships should be expansive and beneficial for all. Most of us have been in polyamorous relationships our whole lives. The only difference is we weren't honest about it. But if you've ever been sexually involved with someone non-exclusively, guess what? You're polyamorous. Unconditional love means you love with no conditions. Most of our minds are way too conditioned to even love freely. Now, I disagree with the polyamory part, but I get his messaging. Yeah.
So wait, what? Which part you disagree with?
Everything he said about polyamory.
Why?
Because, so he starts by saying, tell Chloe you're a gallus, which is like a Jamaican term for like a player.
Yeah, I was like, what is guileless?
The girl's dumb sugar.
That girl's dumb sugar.
So I get his messaging here, but then to say most of us have been in polyamorous relationships our whole lives, he's basically saying that polyamory is this, like, I'm telling you, like, I'm gonna fuck other girls. But that's not my understanding of polyamory. Polyamory is me and you are in a relationship, we are bonded together, but then there's a certain amount of trust and honesty that goes with me saying, I may want to go see so-and-so. What do you think about that?
What he's saying is a lot of us shun the idea of polyamory. Like, oh no, it's kind of looked at as like freaky, like y'all nasty, but then majority of people getting cheated on or cheating. So I think that's what he's trying to say. Like, if we were just more open and honest about this, things would be better. I think that was his point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think his point was in like bringing down polyamory.
No, not. I like I said, I get his messaging. It was kind of out of left field that Joey Badass was the one saying this, but I think because he knows Tristan is, I think he's Jamaican or West Indian roots. Okay, he's like, and so is Joey. So he's like, I gotta talk to this guy. But yeah, what do you think about what he said?
Yes and no. Like, yeah, it's easier said than done. But because of this Western society that he's talking about, it's not realistic. Like, Chloe's going to be like, okay, Tristan, no problem. You want to be open and see other women? Let's do this. So it's not that easy for anybody to just decide to tell their partner, like, this is the type of relationship I want. Clearly, if we from jump were open about that from the beginning, from the dating phase, admitting that and saying that, and then giving the person you're courting the option to want to continue, that's different. But at this point, well, Chloe's going to be like, even though, who knows, she might be like, okay, but not really mean it.
Yeah. Like, obviously, hindsight is 20/20. Like, this is this isn't possible now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some advice he can take moving forward. He now has 3 kids that we know of, all 3 different women. So that's something he needs to maybe sit on and maybe not rush into anything. But,
Remember, I just realized this connection. I had put it on Twitter and Instagram about how we have to be honest with the fact that gender roles play a part in our own preferences and the way we want to interact in relationships and intimate relationships. Western society has also heavily influenced our expectations in intimate relationships. So Joey Badass saying like, just say you want to be with different women and talking about polyamory, like we could just be honest about it. I don't think we're there as a society yet,
No, because look at the people who do practice that. They're looked at as the weirdos.
The weirdos and nasty, or, it's because your man can't stop cheating. That's why, or.
It's funny. We spoke about things we're open to in our early episodes. I thought what was going to happen. I guess people just like us, but I thought people would throw that in our face more.
Someone asked us recently, I had put up, ask us anything you want us to answer on the podcast. And they asked like, are you still open to a third in your relationship?
Oh, I missed that.
And they said, if so, how would you handle that with like the kids? So I have in my head what I would answer to that. What would you say? I want to hear what you have to say.
I don't think it'd be any different. We've had that dynamic before, and it's just more family. I'm shook.
I don't know. I'm curious to see.
I didn't
what
even
you
see
would say.
that. I'm pretty on the social media. I guess I missed that one.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like it wouldn't be like this like sit down conversation. It kind of just would happen. It would flow, and love would just be around. It wouldn't be like this thing.
Yeah.
But our kids are also young. I feel like if it happened like in 5-6 years and Eli's like a teenager, it might be different. Like we might have to have like a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I mean, last time it did happen, the person did have children, and one of them was on the older end.
On the older end, yeah.
And I think at one point when she did have a conversation with him, they were like, "Oh yeah, we know. Oh yeah, we love them. We love the idea.
Tell, yeah.
We love the idea."
Yeah.
So kids are watching and they know what's up.
Yeah.
All right, we're out the hot seat.
Yeah. I think what else? What I was gonna say? I totally forgot. This like made me flustered.
Tristan Thompson being a dog.
Yeah. So no, I don't think Chloe deserves it. I think Chloe needs to move the fuck on. Leave him alone. I think, of course, as a black man who who knows? I don't know what his family history is like. We can make arguments about him not knowing better, about him not always having money. We could make all these excuses, but when are you going to start to look at yourself in the mirror and make changes? When are you going to start to be a better person for your kids, for yourself? Yeah. And the internet is mean as fuck.
Yeah, I feel for her in that aspect because, like everything's easier when it's not you. Like anyone can go to the shade room and make comments about, someone going through something. But if you're not dealing with it, of course you can be harsh and say, oh, you should have done this. But like you said, you don't know what he's saying behind closed doors. You don't know what he's saying to get some type of forgiveness. So, I definitely feel for her. I definitely think they don't need to be together. And,
you know who's not talked about often in these situations? These kids who were made and their moms. Like, what are they feeling? And then it's like forever. Like, you know how we talk about our mommy issues, our daddy issues, parenting, both parents in the house or not in the house. How does it impact you knowing that you're like a product of this affair?
Yeah. And also as a father, there's nothing you could tell me. I don't care how much money you have in the world. When you have all these kids in all these different areas, you're gonna be a mediocre dad.
Yeah.
There's nothing. What
about Nick Cannon?
Nick Cannon, he has all these good intentions. I appreciate his honesty with all these women.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not familiar, he basically says, "Listen, Stephanie, I think you're awesome. I like everything about you.
We
like,
should have a baby.
Let's have a baby." And then Stephanie's like, "Let's do it." But we're not together. You understand that?
We're
yeah, no problem.
co-parents.
We're going to co-parent. But now you have Stephanie here in New York. You have so-and-so in Florida, so-and-so in Cali, so-and-so here. There's no way you can be a good father to all these kids, no matter how great the mothers are. You know, one of his mothers is Mariah Carey, you know.
He was married to her, though.
But what I'm saying is, you know, people be like, "Oh, I would love Mariah Carey to be my mother." But at the end of the day, still want your dad for certain things. And your time is here and here. And that's my issue with the things he does.
And he's a whole professional, a whole entertainer. Like, he has shows.
And I'm not saying he's not a good dad, but you will never be a top tier dad, in my opinion.
Especially quality time. It's just impossible. Unless you bring them all together, but then they're spending a lot of time traveling. Look at me trying to find...
It's not realistic. And listen, as no matter how well intended you are, like Nick Cannon, it's just it's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
They'll be financially taken care of, but they'll always be missing that emotional part.
I even have guilt sometimes as doing the podcast or running my business as a mom. Imagine me with kids all over the country.
And then back to Tristan, I'm pretty sure not all these women are in California. So now what? And even if they were all in California, they all live in different homes. So he'll forever be a mediocre dad, no matter if he's providing financially. And that's the unfortunate truth. That's the sad part about all this, you know. They're all going to grow up with daddy issues. And then they all will eventually reach that age where they're like seeing or researching this old drama.
I wonder, anybody who is the child of an affair. That sounds so bad, but I feel like I want to hear from people who have that experience, you know? Like, we hear a lot about I didn't have my dad, or my parents divorced, or my parents are still together. But I don't really know much about the experience of those children. And there are so many.
No.
Like, you know? So I would like to hear from people who have that experience and how it's impacted their life growing up and their siblings. Yeah, because I have half siblings, right? But my mom left my dad and then started a new relationship. So it's different. It wasn't like my biological father had children elsewhere but stood with my mom.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So that specific experience and those kids who...
So all your siblings, like every child your father had was like, all right, he had so-and-so and then went on to another partner. It was never overlapped?
No, it wasn't overlapped. So yeah, like, how does that feel? Yeah. I think I'm done, babe.
You done? You done with Tristan?
I'm done with Tristan. I'm done with episode 29.
Sending healing energy to everyone involved. And
absolutely. And the reason, obviously, it's like annoying because people are like, oh, the Kardashians, but it's an experience within a relationship that many people can relate to. And even if you hate the Kardashians or you hate celebrity drama, like, there are real people going through the same shit.
Yeah. With not even a quarter of the finance.
Oh, yeah, because dealing with it with a broke nigga. I'm being funny, but not really.
Not really. Baby.
Daddy.
Do you still like me?
I still like you.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.